We're going to go ahead and get started. So, good morning. I am Leah Lummel, and I work in the University Technology Office, overseeing development, and I'm lucky enough to be one of the people responsible for a smooth upgrade in PeopleSoft. Today we have an agenda. We are not going to take a ton of your time, but we are going to have a lot of time at the end for good questions and answers and to get some of your feedback. We're going to cover what PeopleSoft is because some people are still a little confused about that. Today we have a substitution. Jennifer Glosson is not with us today, but we have Bonnie Stonekey, who is the co-functional director of the Campus Solutions side. We also have Lissa Kelly, who's the functional director of the Human Resources side of the upgrade. We have the beloved Paul Stoll from training. And then, of course, Katie Reynes is here today, who is the project director for the upgrade. And then lots of time, like I mentioned, for the questions and answers. So first I'm going to cover what is PeopleSoft at ASU. Who here uses PeopleSoft on a regular basis for their jobs? Okay, good. We want to make sure you're here for the right reasons. And then who is here for the implementation of PeopleSoft back in 2006 and 7? Okay, so it's actually quite a few who weren't here or probably don't remember it or are blocking it from their memories. Either way, it's important that we want to note that an upgrade is very different from an implementation. We have a lot of years of experience with the system now, and very little is changing with the upgrade. So PeopleSoft right now is essentially two systems. It's our student information system and our human resources system. The Campus Solutions side of the house is what most of the population uses because that's where student registration is housed, that's how they see financial aid and everything. But probably a more complicated part of the system is the human resources, and that's where our payroll and our benefits and all that side is. And right now they are all together in one big system. That's not really common to do, and our vendor is suggesting we split them. So we are, as part of this upgrade, hopefully you won't really see much of that, but we are going to address it a little bit here and there just because it does change a couple things, but we're trying to hide most of that so you won't see it. And it's taking a lot of people to make this upgrade happen, lots of talented, dedicated people, over 100 folks have been involved, and that's on a daily basis. Lots of others have been pulled in here and there to help us out with the upgrade when needed. Okay, so I'm holding this paintbrush. The paintbrush today determines who has the floor, and there's a reason we're using a paintbrush. A little bit of it has to do with Miss Irma Bombeck's quote here. She says, "My theory on housework is, if the item doesn't multiply, smell, catch fire, or block the refrigerator door, just let it be." How many of us have kids? You can attest to this. At some point, as long as there's no sharp items I will hurt my feet on, who cares? Well, when you're upgrading the system, a lot of it is about the prep work. And today we'd like to assimilate this upgrade to a big painting project. You don't necessarily want to do it, but there's a lot of prep work involved before you actually get to start painting the walls. So I'd like you to see the project team as the group who's been filling all the holes, doing all the tape off, and all the icky work, and then we're going to have a really big painting party over Go Live weekend, and we'd like to get your feedback on that. So you're probably wondering, well, why even paint it all? Why even have to do this upgrade? Well, this particular upgrade involves a few things. Not only are we doing it because our third party, our vendor support, is saying you need to do it, we also kind of like to stay in compliance with tax regulations and financial aid stuff, and I'm sure our students and our staff all appreciate that part of it. But we're also taking this opportunity to leverage. Leveraging means we're really looking at the product to make sure we're using as much of the functionality as it comes delivered as possible. So we're trying to make sure we use what we bought before we go build new things. We're strengthening. Strengthening means we know we've acquired a lot of knowledge over the past 5 years since we went live, but we're working on our documentation and our testing practices and everything else to make sure that this upgrade goes as smooth as possible. So the teams have worked hard to strengthen our ability to maintain this system. And lastly is to simplify. We did a lot of things in the system to change it, to help it match the ASU business processes. Upon our review, a lot of modifications were put in just for the point of implementation, and we can now take those out and really clean the system up. So we're getting a lot out of this upgrade. A lot of it may not be visible to you. In fact, we have heard from some people when they look at the new version, they're like, yeah, so it really isn't changing that much, and some other folks are going to explain that as we go on. To give you a sense of how long we've been working on this, we started in earnest in 2011, and we have tested, and we have tested and tested and tested, and now we're going to keep doing some more testing. What you want to pay attention to is starting in July is when we're going to start engaging the campus community just a little bit more. What kind of things do we need to show you that have changed? How will it impact you on that go live weekend? And all that stuff for a big go live in September. And this is the page you really want to pay attention to. Obviously, we want to do it on a weekend. We don't want to impact the university business that much, but it's too much to do in just 2 days. So we are taking our best guess at how many days it will take to upgrade the system. So right now we're targeting these 6 days. We aren't positive it will take a whole 6 days. Once we have confirmation on that, of course we'll adjust it. We aren't positive it would be these days. Again, we're here today to start collecting some of your feedback of what business processes will be impacted by us taking the system down. Taking the system down means students cannot register for classes. It means you can't enter your time for your paychecks. It does mean you're going to get paid before we take the system down. I want to make sure that's clear, and Melissa will touch on that more. So there's a lot of good stuff that we want to collect from you to make sure all avenues are addressed and we don't leave anything hanging. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer Glossen's look-alike today, Bonnie Stonekey, to explain a little more about what's happening with the Campus Solutions part of the upgrade.
Thank you, Leah. She said that I am standing in for Jennifer. That's just for the presentation. I have been involved in the project all throughout the last year. I am a co-lead with Jennifer on the Campus Solutions, and I work in UTO as a manager. So, as a reminder of what Campus Solution is encompassing, and that would be, of course, admissions, registration, financial aid, student billing, advising, and even the setup of how our organization is on the campus side as far as colleges and schools and programs and plans. All of that is Campus Solutions. So, how have we been preparing for this upgrade? We've done extensive testing, as Leah said, since last fall. We've been improving our documentation for testing and identified almost 600 business processes that need to be tested. So the functional areas that are involved with us, the registrar's office, admissions, business services, financial aid, in all of their areas, they're working on the daily kinds of business processes. On top of that, they're also been working on testing modifications. You may not know what a modification is, but it's when we actually make changes to the core PeopleSoft product so that we can perform a business transaction. So you may just look at it and it looks like every other screen that you do. That's because we did that development work. So for modifications, we have over 300 of those that we have to test individually to make sure they still work within this upgrade. So what does the upgrade mean to you? Leah kind of touched on a little bit. A lot of things that we're seeing right now are just some cosmetic changes. The screens might look a little bit different. There might be things down there that are bolded or moved to a different location, but they're not operationally different. We did a group, was it last week or the week before, with advisors, and let the advisors get in, just a core group of advisors to get in, touch the system, and they kind of came away saying, oh, yeah, no big deal. It's not like when you move from Microsoft, 98 to 2010. It's not huge in that respect. So minimal business process changes, those that do have business process changes in them, we're working with Paul's team to make sure that that training is up to date. And when Leah said prepping in July, you'll know about those things in July. And if you have to take a training class or if anything needs to be changed from your perspective from your business office, you'll know about that. So behind the scenes improvements, those are just kind of under the cover things, business processing changes where maybe we can make a process run a little faster. So you may or may not know that we have hundreds of business processes that run overnight to keep all the records updated. You may never see those. You just log in the system next day and everything's the way it's supposed to be. So we are doing a lot of under the cover work as well. And just to give you an idea, Leah mentioned how many people are actually involved. On our team alone, we have over 40 people working, and they logged over 500 hours just last week testing the product for you. So with that, I will go ahead and move on to Melissa Kelly for human resources.
Morning, everyone. My name is Melissa Kelly. I'm the functional director for the HR side of the project. Similar to Campus Solutions, we are seeing minimal impact on the HR side. We will have a few new pages, we'll have a few new processes. If those impact your area, you'll be hearing about that during the training phase of the project. So in HR, we've assembled a team of almost 30 people, and those are people from the Office of Human Resources and Financial Services. And we bring in subject matter experts from the department to help us out. So upgrade work involves not only testing the new functionality of 9.0, but also all of the modifications, as Bonnie had mentioned. So we have assembled specialists from a number of areas: staffing, HR, benefits, payroll, time and labor, and we also are bringing this all the way through distribution and the accounting processes. Just like you're prepping a room for painting, we needed to inventory all of our modifications. In HR, we had started out with over hundreds of modifications, and we were able to eliminate about 100, and we were left with 200 that we needed to test, and these are of varying size. I think who out there uses the PTR system? So quite a few of you. So that's a very large modification that we made to PeopleSoft. So we need to make sure that that modification continues to function in the 9.0 environment. A lot of testing involved. Another phase of the project that we just started recently is working cross-functionally and testing our business processes from beginning to end. And when I say that, we tested things such as posting and filling a job opening, hiring an employee, enrolling an employee in benefits, paying them, and then making changes to the job record. So all of that testing is done in this new 9.0 environment to make sure that your business process continue to function. Top priority for us is an accurate payroll. I think I saw a lot of people that were here at Go Live. Remember, we had some challenges in that area, to say the least, right? So what we're doing this time is we are running parallel payrolls. We've run, when I say parallel, that means we're running the same payroll for the same time frame with the same group of employees. In fact, the entire population in the 8.9 environment as well as the 9.0, and we're balancing it, not only the earnings, but the taxes and the deductions. So we're looking at individual paychecks as well as in aggregate, and we will continue to run these parallel payrolls to make sure we're confident that there's going to be no issues with the paychecks. Many of the HR changes are happening behind the scenes, and something that's really being streamlined is benefits administration. This may not be visible to you, but it will improve backroom operations and operating efficiencies. So we hope, with these benefit administration changes, that we will be able to streamline business processes in the near future. So throughout this process, we're not only looking at 9.0, but we're always comparing it back to the 8.9 environment and trying to identify where there are differences and where those differences occur. And if they impact you, we will be offering training in those areas. So as we continue to examine this new 9.0 functionality, we're also inventorying our business processes, and we have almost 400 that we've identified, and we're looking for opportunities to improve those. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul. He'll talk to you about training.
Hello all, I'm Paul Stoll. I'm the manager of the UTO training group. I know most of your faces. It's great to be out here at West, and I got called beloved today, so that's a, that's a good day. So, for those of you that do the math, Bonnie said 600 processes, Melissa said 400 processes, so it's an awful lot of processes that we use here in PeopleSoft. And they're all being thoroughly tested and figured out how's it going to talk about the ways that we're going to get you in the loop for that as we go. There will be communication that happens monthly from here on out until and beyond the go-live date in September. There is currently a website that you can come to at any time called peoplesoft.asu.edu, and Katie will put that up on the screen at the end of the presentation for you as well. So you can come out at any time and find out what we're doing. We'd love to have you come out, be a frequent visitor there. As we start to get closer and closer to that September date, we're going to do more and more communication with you. So this isn't the only time that we're going to talk to you. We're going to find lots of different ways to get information in front of you as you're working through your busy lives here at ASU. But our training will start in earnest in late August and go through into September. We know August 23rd is the start of the fall semester, right? So we know that right before, those couple of weeks before fall semester starts is a really busy time for everyone as the students roll back into town and there's mood in and advising and all sorts of stuff. So we're going to play light on your schedule for that part of the time frame because we know that you're really, really busy at that point. And then we have about a month before we go to the Go Live event, and so there's plenty of time once everybody's kind of in place to really talk about the specifics. We know some people are like, no, I want to know exactly what's going to happen to my screens way before it happens, so we're going to be there for you. And some of you are like, just let it happen to me and I'll figure it out. And if I need help, I'll come ask, and we'll be there for you guys too. So it just depends on your style as far as how you deal with software at ASU. So we're going to start stuff in August. We'll be there all the way through September and into October with lots of information for you. So don't worry, you're not going to go into this change alone or without information at your fingertips. One of the ways that we're going to communicate to you is with mail. So we do have the way to look at different roles that are in the system and be able to send you specific messages about that. So if you're one of those lucky people that has signed up for 27 different PeopleSoft roles in order to do your job, don't worry, we're not going to send you 27 emails that you'll have to go through. We're going to group different emails together and tell you, if you do this sort of work, these are the changes that you're going to expect. And if that's enough information for you, then you're good to go. We're also going to do in-person and online sorts of what's new presentations we'll talk about in just a minute. So you will be getting some emails from us as we get closer and closer to that go live. And as I mentioned, you'll be able to go out to the website as well to get lots of good information. This guy just found out that he didn't have to reapply for his PeopleSoft roles in order to go through the upgrade. So that's a good thing. There are a couple of roles where we will need to do that, just a few roles that are that way. We'll communicate with those folks separately because of the way the software is, so we're going to need people to reapply. If we do have that sort of instance happen, then we're going to try to do that over the summer and get that all those cleaned up ahead of time so that you don't have to face that reapplication at the same time that the upgrade's happening. But for the most part, for all of us, if you have the roles now, you'll have the roles in September. You won't have to do any sort of jumping through hoops in order to have that upgrade happen. So that's a good thing. As I said before, we're going to be doing some What's New presentations at all the campuses. So if you'd like to come see a face and talk to people and have questions and answers, we'll be here face-to-face in order to tell you what's going on. We'll probably have an HR part of the show and a CS part of the show. So if you're doing both, you get to see both. Otherwise, we'll have it set so that we are light on your schedule for that day. We'll also be offering those as well online. So if you can't make it to a particular day that we're here, then you can come and go back online for it. Or if you looked at it and you said, did they really say that? Then you can go back online and make sure that you understood what he said as we went. So there'll be lots of good information that'll be coming out about how things are different. And like we've said several times already, it's not going to be very different. There's just going to be some improvements. So it's not anything like going from SIS to PeopleSoft. It's going PeopleSoft to PeopleSoft, and it'll just be minor changes as we go. Finally, this young lady is just so happy how easy it is to get to online information at ASU after September happens. We're going to be doing a couple of other really neat things. One of them is we're going to be offering context-sensitive help in PeopleSoft. So for many of our well-visited screens within PeopleSoft, you'll be able to go up to the help icon and select a link there, and the system will read what screen you're on and then give you a menu of step-by-step procedures that you can look at so that you can go look at that as you go. So we'll actually read what screen you're on and then offer you help in that area of PeopleSoft. And we're not going to do that for every single screen, but we're going to offer it for all of the most visited screens that ASU uses, which is really great. Again, I want to reemphasize that peoplesoft.asu.edu. That's where we're going to launch a lot of our what's new information. This presentation will be out there on Monday so that people who weren't able to come today can get there. Lots of good information there. We're also, as part of the strengthening portion of the project, we're going to go through all of our existing training and expand that and make that stronger and make that easier to use. So you won't have to retake that training, but as new people come in, if you're one of those wonderful people in your department that's responsible for training the new people, we'll have better offerings for you from the central office in the technology office so that you don't have to work as hard to train the folks for how to use PeopleSoft and the systems that are around that. So lots of good stuff is going to happen to those electronic systems as we go, and life's going to get better. Great. Next, I'm going to hand it over to the person who's managing the entire project, Katie Raines, and she's going to talk to you about more specifics.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to have so many people here today. So thank you for coming. And my name is Katie Raines, and I work in the University Technology Office and as part of the Project Management Office. And so I'm directing and helping all these talented people to get to the end of our upgrade. So I have this little paper. So it doesn't look kind of little. So you just heard like there was 1,000 business processes. So I'm going to need some helpers, and that's where I'm here to get you involved and talk about how we engage all of us to make this a smooth transition for ASU. When I talked to the project team and we talked about this painting analogy, they says, oh, I guess it's a pretty good one. But I really don't like that taping part and that patching part. I think that some people kind of really like the painting part. And so we want a lot of enthusiastic painters, and you're now on our crew. So we want you to be engaged with us as we make the transition. So you remember this timeline from the beginning. I want you to pay particular attention to the yellow circle, because this is the time where you are preparing yourself or your department, one, by taking training and paying attention, and also preparing for the big painting party that's going to happen in September, when it's going to be a disturbance, just like as when you paint your house. There'll be some disruption in our business processes. And then when the new PeopleSoft comes to be, during this time, there may be a few drips left, or there may be a few places where we haven't painted perfectly. And so during this whole period, we want your attention to what we're doing, your participation with us in making this a smooth transition, and also your patience. So whenever we have a new thing, there may be some things where it is a little challenging for all of us, and so we ask for your attention, your participation, and your patience. So how do you do that? Well, we extended this invitation to some people that we're calling techies. So a techie is someone that is responsible for a system that interacts with PeopleSoft. We talked about the core functionality, but there's a lot of other departmental systems that interact with PeopleSoft or use PeopleSoft data. If you have such a system, you should have heard from us. In fact, you probably should have heard from Roger Lurie, who's on our team, to talk about how we can make your system continue to work with the new version of PeopleSoft. So if you use the data warehouse, there'll be some minor changes. So you may have heard from Kendall Burkhart, who's in charge of that effort. You remember Leah talked about separating the campus solutions or the student information from the HR information. That's going to happen, but we will have one warehouse. So we're going to take those two data sources and combine them in one warehouse. So we'll have one warehouse. The specifics about how to plan and how to be part of this effort are located on the PeopleSoft website in a part of the site called Interfaces-Planning. There's a menu item. So if you haven't been in touch with us and you answered yes to either one of those questions, go take a look and get connected now. Some of the systems will need to change and some of them won't, but if your system needs a little adjustment, plan ahead to be part of our Go Live weekend because you need to march in concert with us. Now, for everyone or everyone else, but basically everyone, if you use PeopleSoft in your job, well, or just to log your time for vacation, all of us that are employees at ASU use PeopleSoft. If you use information from PeopleSoft, so you see reports or you run queries or you try to look stuff up in PeopleSoft, if you have people that work for you that use PeopleSoft, or most importantly, if you have customers that need PeopleSoft, all of you are involved, and I want your help to help us make that as smooth as possible. So, we've got that detailed painter there on the side. We talked about our 1,000 business processes that we know of. Now, we haven't talked to each of you individually, and as we go out to the departments, you have processes that we don't know about, and we want to know about them. We want to know how this changeover is going to need to disturb or disrupt what you're doing, or how we can accommodate it and how we can work together so we make it as smooth as possible. So, we want to make sure we get all the details right. There's things that are obvious. We know, we've already mentioned. If you're going to, so during the Go Live weekend, we use PeopleSoft to hire people, so you won't be able to hire somebody. We use it to look at paychecks. We use it, we know it's going to be a busy time in fall, so there's lots of fall hires, new people joining us, among them faculty getting their notice of appointments. And it's right before open enrollment, so people may be looking at their benefits. All of those things use PeopleSoft. So the Go Live event will interact with those business processes. As far as students, they register for classes, they look for financial aid, the catalog and class schedule. DARS, although it's a separate system, uses data from PeopleSoft. Our financial aid systems and our student accounting systems and student fee payment systems all use PeopleSoft data. So these are the big areas that we are looking to review. But we're asking for the little details, or as we go forward to questions. We've constructed a site for our PeopleSoft at ASU. You don't even use the big site where it tells you all of the information. And off that site, you'll see a place where it says, put your questions or concerns, and that's the longer URL, but there's a link off the PeopleSoft website to get there as well. And that's where we want to log all your questions. And as Paul says, your job is to give us the questions. Ours is to work with you to get the answers. And so our plan is to have a frequently asked question and a frequently answered question, not just the questions, but we need the questions first so we can get good answers. Or if you're concerned about, does this business process actually use PeopleSoft? Because sometimes it's hard to know where the borderline is. Put it in, because someone else probably has that question, and we can work with you to see how we would communicate